Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker, and today I'm going to be talking all about my recent set championship run at Brotherhood Games in London, where I was very pleased to reach top 4, and you can see this picture here also on the thumbnail. Myself there, rocking my scar, repping it, super happy, and Joe Curley, the ultimate specimen, Spessy, showing off his bend to my will. He played Emerald Sapphire. I was very pleased to not pair into him because that deck absolutely destroys Ruby Amethyst in my opinion. But I did not pair into him, and he was very unlucky to reach 9th place. And I know that pain, having recently come 9th at the Content Creator Set Championship. But Spessy being a great sport, it was his idea to take this photo. So big up my man Spessy. No face cam for this video. The majority of this video is going to be showing gameplay, which again, a shout out to Spessy. He streamed this entire event, and he's given me his blessing to use the footage of the game that I played, my top 8 game at the event, which we'll be watching and I'll be adding some commentary to for this video. But yeah, no face cam for now, just to make the recording and editing process a little bit easier for me. I'm also really sorry that it's been such a while since, I think it's been 10-11 days since my last video. Right at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about that and do a bit of channel admin, but I want to jump into the interesting stuff, the exciting stuff. Yeah, I was super happy to perform well at this event. It was 30 players. Brotherhood Games, I'd never been before, but I've heard so much about them. I've previously attended events at Dark Sphere, also in London, where I met some of the Brotherhood Games regulars, and I've come up against some of them before, and they're all super good players, and I know Spessy's been a lot in the past and streamed events from there, and generally the standard of play is super high. One of the people in the room was Reese, who was 2nd place at the first ever DLC in Lille, coming 2nd to Frank Carsten, and then the top seed at the European Championships after day 1. Unfortunately lost in top 16 to the biggest brick I've ever seen in my life, but a super good player. Also the likes of Tengmar, who Spessy has touted many times as the best player in the UK, a multi-time set champion both at Brotherhood Games and Dark Sphere, also day 2 to DLC. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but these are just 2 names of people in the room who are very good players, and yeah, the standard of play was very high. Again, if you want to see more matches from this event, the VOD is available on Spessy's Twitch and YouTube, which will be linked down below. The only official match I played on stream was my top 8 game. Me and Spessy also had a friendly where we used different decks, which you may want to check out, but the rest of the rounds are there, and most of the all of the top cut. So yeah, definitely an event worth checking out, and I do have the deck list for the 1st and 2nd place, which we will take a look at. But we'll start off by discussing my deck list. Now, the list on screen right now is not what I played at Brotherhood, but what I played at the Content Creator Set Championships a couple of weeks beforehand, where I came 9th out of 16 players. I lost 2-0 to both Alphos on No Wheel Blue Steel and to Kawa, who was on Emerald Amber Discard. I still have those games ready to potentially go up on the channel, which may still happen. Again, I'll talk a bit more about that at the end. But this is the most current event, so I want to focus on this. But yeah, this is the list that I played at that event, and I mentioned in a clip that I did for Spessy's channel that this list was very much geared towards not expecting to see a lot of Sapphire in the room. I only expected Alphos, Harlan, and Kim to be on Sapphire decks in general out of 16 players. So I opted to build with that in mind. You see only 1 copy of Tremaine here. Also only 3 Flynn Rider, which I do think was wrong. Again, my theory was this is only really great up against the Sapphire decks. All of the other decks that I'm expecting to see, Steel Song, EA Tempo, Amethyst Steel, they all have such easy ways of removing this, so I decided to just play 3, but that was wrong, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Also opted for only 3 friends, which I know is kind of cringe, and I always knew that I would most likely go back up to 4. It just felt super slow, but I did play 4 in my Brotherhood Games list. So yeah, the Friends and the Flynn should definitely both be 4 counts, and in a more open field, I would definitely play at least 2 Tremaine, expecting to see more Sapphire decks. But this is what I went with for that event, and overall, I've been super happy with the build. Playing 12 1-drops has been so good in my testing so far with Ruby Amethyst. We are in such a faster meta now. The name of the game quite often really is just having those bodies on board in the early game. Ruby Amethyst has always been thought of as a mid to late game control deck, which it is, but now that we have these Diablos and we have more characters that we can more consistently get down in the early game, and that pair really well with the Merlin Crab, I think it gives Ruby Amethyst a bit of a better early game in general. So I really wanted to build in a way where I felt more comfortable against those more aggro decks and the Steel decks, like against Steel Song, if they play turn 1 Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. You know you're probably getting stormed, so then being able to play 2 1-drops on turn 2, just so that you can assure that something survives to get to turn 3 to either use your Fox or use your Crab. Now, Fox sometimes can be enough in and of itself, but if you trade, then you still don't have anything necessarily left on board to continue to help control the board. So by playing the Crab instead and sending in your Diablo, your Broom, or your Chernabog, at least then you've still got that Crab there for a follow-up turn. So the high count of Crab, I've been a huge fan of. Elsa isn't great into Ruby Sapphire, but as I said, I wasn't expecting a lot of that. I was expecting a lot more aggro, Emerald, Steel, Amethyst, so I knew Elsa was going to be an important card to bring, so I still played 2 copies. And yeah, over 4 rounds, went 2-2, barely missing my Scar, and I was absolutely heartbroken. But I had another chance coming up at the Brotherhood Games, although I was not optimistic again. I know a lot of these players, I've met a lot of them and seen them play, I know how good they are. So yeah, I was not at all optimistic, but nonetheless, I prepped super hard. I want to give a shout out to Zach Bivens and to Artabax and to Lorcana Decklist, all of which did some play testing with me in the weeks leading up to Set Championships. Also a shout out to SLTC, which is a fantastic testing group that I'm honoured to be a part of, and I get to be witness to them constantly playing webcam games and just discussing deck lists and discussing Lorcana, and it has really benefited me. And yeah, I've put a lot of work in this season. I felt like set 5, I was not getting as much chance to play, and I felt like I was just really lagging as a player in general, but I've really put my all into it for set 6, and I wanted to be as prepared as possible, no pun intended, and I definitely wanted to take home that Scar. So yeah, a lot of work went into preparing for the Set Championship event, particularly this Brotherhood one, because I knew that I was walking into a tough field, and this is the list that I decided to go with. You can see I've gone down to 11 1-drops, kicking and screaming, to be honest, but it felt absolutely fine all day, so it probably is here to stay. For all the reasons I've already listed, I like the high count of 1-drops. We've gone down to 3 Crab, again, kind of kicking and screaming. I just liked having constant high odds that I would have access to these Crabs. I mentioned earlier they're just so good for controlling the early game, and if you've got a Crab on board, just having a Fox in hand means you always answer any location that goes down. You challenge with the Crab and then you bounce it with a Fox, challenge a 3, hit for 7, location gone. So yeah, I wasn't too enthusiastic about going down to 3, but again, over the course of the day, it felt fine. So again, probably here to stay. Gone down to 2 Genie. I wanted to play the second Tremaine. I expected to see some more Ruby Sapphire in the room at Brotherhood. Thankfully, did not face a single one. But nonetheless, I wanted to be prepared for them, so definitely 2 Tremaine. I didn't want to go up any more on Inkables. And I'm going to be honest, guys, Genie's becoming... I am whelmed at this point. I still think it's a good card, but I'm thinking about going down to 1 or even just cutting him completely. Not great into Ruby Sapphire. Not great if it's immediately brawled. Genie did a little bit of work over the day, but yeah, I'm still not married to the counts. I'm on 3B prep and 1 big Sisu. I was wrestling with whether I wanted to just commit to the 4B prepared, but I think quite often Sisu can be so important if they've played P or they've just gone wide and you need to be able to respond to the board on turn 6 by shifting Sisu as opposed to waiting to 7. That can sometimes be 1 turn too late. I was definitely keen to play the big Sisu. I could end up still going up to 4B prep. Maybe that's a change I make if I do cut down on Genies. But this is what I went with. You'll be pleased to see I'm back to 4 Flynn and 4 Brawl. And then I decided to play 1 Elsa, 1 Library. I've been doing some testing with Library, as most people have, since Ed's performance at the North American Championships. And yeah, it can just put in a lot of work. I was torn about whether I wanted to go 2 Elsa or 2 Library and cut the other, but I decided to go with the 1/1, and I'm so glad I did, because there were a couple of games where both these cards absolutely shine. One matchup in particular against Emerald Steel where the Elsa was pivotal. So yeah, that was my list. I felt well practiced. I was 95% happy with the list, but as I've said, I know Brotherhood is an absolutely lethal local, so this was going to be far from easy, but I felt as prepared as I could possibly be, and ultimately super proud and pleased to end up making the top 4. I put my matchups on Twitter. Round 1, I was up against Lemon and Line, Emerald, Amber, Aggro. I was on the draw. I did manage to take a 2-0. I do remember one particular turn of this. I had 2 foxes on the board. They had a ready bonsai and they were topping. And I had the Elsa. And I put down the Elsa and I exerted the bonsai and I was like, okay, I would love to, because I was very much behind on lore. There were like 16, 17 lore at this point. So I was like, okay, I would love to just take this out with Elsa and quest with these 2 foxes. But if I do that and you top go, then I could be so punished. I made the wrong decision. I decided to challenge with the Elsa, quested with the 2 foxes. What did they top? Go. Put it down, immediately gained the 3 lore. I did still win that game, but it was so close. And yeah, that was absolutely the wrong decision from me. Round 2, I was up against Ruby Amethyst, a mirror match against the player that I went on to lose to in top 4. And they ended up coming second overall, losing to Ruby Sapphire in the finals. That match is up on Spessie's channel if you want to check it out yourself. And we will look at his deck list in a moment, because I do have it. But this was... both of these matches against this player, Lemonade is what he goes by, were the toughest matches of the day. They were absolutely grueling. It was like being in a Ruby Amethyst dungeon. Super talented player, played at the European Championships. We played 3 super close games that really could have gone either way. There was a turn where he chose not to quest, which did end up mattering in the long run. I can't remember which of the 3 games it was. But nonetheless, it was so incredibly tight. Again, we'll look at his list in a moment. But I was super glad to scrape the 2-1 on the draw. Next up, I was against Steel Song, a whole new world classical variant. This match, unfortunately, went to time. I was again on the draw, managed to still win game 1. Game 2, they just absolutely steamrolled me with daisies, and I didn't have enough of a good start. I think I had my 1 drop, but I think I had to play Snake on turn 2, which was not fast enough in this particular game. And then game 3, we unfortunately went to time, played 5 turns, and I could not finish the match in those 5 turns. I needed 1 more turn. My opponent even admitted that, but I don't hold it against them at all. Like, of course, we're all here to try and make top cut, and a draw is better than a loss for sure, and you want to get that scar. So I was not able to win in the time limit, so that's just how it be. But yeah, they were fun games and a really nice guy. Round 4 was one of my other toughest opponents of the day. I was up against Emerald, Steel, Discard. I despise playing Discard. I just shut off mentally. I just half give up right away. Thankfully, they did not have the best of starts. I was on the play. Game 1, they had to turn 1 Cove. They did eventually get the Diablo down, but it was just too late, and I was able to just quest aggressively and get to game. Game 2, they were on the play, and they did get the perfect start. Turn 1 Diablo. They definitely shifted on turn 2. I don't think they moved to Cove straight away, so it wasn't like the ultimate dream, but it was good enough. And yeah, they just took firm control. Game 3, he seemed to ultra brick. I do think he played Diablo on 1, but wasn't able to shift on 2, wasn't able to shift on 3, and on turn 3 just played Pete just to establish something to the board. So he had a really slow start. And there was one of these games, I can't remember which one, but there was a point where I was topping. Again, they were playing Discard, and I topped an Elsa at like just the perfect moment. They had already drawn a couple of times off of the Diablo on the board, but I was able to find the Elsa at a pivotal moment to just kind of stem the flow a little bit. So yeah, definitely got a little lucky in this game, and I was very happy to take the 2-1. Round 5, decided to take the ID with my opponent. I know not everyone's a fan of IDs, and that's absolutely fine, but I decided to take it in that moment. I was assured that I would secure my top cut with that, and I absolutely took it. But this was who would have been my opponent, and we had a friendly game nonetheless, where I pulled out my Amber Ruby Mufasa deck, and he played some Amethyst Steel. We just played one game, he was able to win. I gifted him a Villain Club sleeve, which you can see there, but yeah, super, super nice guy. And you'll see his face a lot more in a moment because this was who I was playing in my top 8 game that we're going to watch. Before that, we'll take a look at the first and second place deck lists. In first place, we have Tengmar. Again, has made day 2 at a DLC. I cannot remember which one, but also a multi-time champion at the London events. Really a fantastic player. Spessy calls him the best player in the UK. And he's on this really clean-looking Ruby Sapphire list. Great Stone Dragon up in here. The Fishbone Quills are a thing of the past. We're happy with the 4 copies of Saudi Azurite Sea, 3 copies of How Far I'll Go, and 4 copies of Tipo. 2 cost inkable ramp is insanity. But yeah, this Great Stone Dragon can definitely put in some work as well. We're running 1 copy of the Queen of Hearts, good for those aggro decks. You can also punish the greedy Amethyst players that leave a Broom exerted or a Chernobog's followers thinking that the red-blue player is not going to have an answer. Rest assured, this Queen of Hearts probably broke some hearts during the day. We've got a 2-3 Sisu line, 2 copies of that Daring Visitor to pop a character with 1 strength or less, which already, a lot of characters fit that bill, but with the 3 copies of Ice Cube, we can get even more characters into that range. And of course, the big Sisu, wiping away all opposing characters with 2 strength or less, again, works really well with the Ice Block, as do the 4 copies of Brawl that we're running. No copies of Medusa up in here. 3 Talas, 4 Flavisham. We've got 3 copies of that Maui Shark, and a big action package, 1 Hideaway for those opposing Lucky Dimes or annoying locations like libraries and McDuck Manors, 4 Vision of the Future for consistency, helping to find our combo pieces, 2 copies of A Pirate's Life, which can just buy you that extra turn or 2 that you need against those much faster decks, the EA Tempo decks, the Steel Song decks, even Ruby Amethyst. Like 1 Pirate's Life can just completely tow the game the opposite way. 2 copies of Be Prepared. Of course, these Maui Sharks can replenish all of these actions. We've got 2 Vitalosphere, which can give this Maui Shark rush out of nowhere and help him get a surprise trigger and get that action back. And of course, they just work really well with the Flavishams and the Tamatoas. 4 Porp, 1 copy of Lucky Dime in here. Overall, just a super solid looking Ruby Sapphire deck. And in second place, we have Lemonade. Again, the player that I faced in round 2. And they were able to beat me in a heartbreaking top 4. He was on the play as the highest seed. We both won our games on the play. And then game 3, we both had some bad luck, really. He did not see a rabbit or a goat until I think maybe turn 10, maybe beyond that. But I, unfortunately, was unable to ink on turn 5. I had a hand of 1 B Prep, 1 Tremaine, 1 Medusa, 1 Genie. This is turn 5. I used my 4 ink I've already got to play the Genie, draw another Genie. But yeah, he also had a pretty slow start, and yeah, all of these games were absolutely grueling. This deck list looks fantastic. He was very kind to email me this list with a few notes just saying that it was largely based on Ed's North American Championship winning deck list, taken out 2 of the Tremaines, however, only playing 12 uninkables, which is really, really nice. This looks really, really consistent, and yeah, these 4 libraries put in a lot of work, especially against me. I know that he also had a heartbreaking game 3 in the finals against Ruby Sapphire, where I think he, same as me in my top 4 game, was unable to ink, but I think he was unable to ink on turn 4. So yeah, if you want to check out that game, go check out Spessy's channel. Alright, that was much more yapping than I planned to do, but finally we come to the gameplay we're going to be showing in this video. My top 8 game up against Ian, who I didn't know at the time, but is playing EA Tempo, just win the game. He is on the play as the higher seed. I am going to add some commentary to this video, but in some places I may just let it play. There is sound that you'll be able to hear in just a moment. But yeah, Ian, super, super nice guy. I'm already happy. I've got my scar at this point, but I also was aware that this may be my only other chance to play in a set championship, so I want that playmat, man. So, like, I really, really care about this match. But yeah, I've made some edits here to try and show hands a little bit better, and there is also some glare, which I've tried to fix. You'll see how in a minute. But yeah, for this opening hand, we can see I've got a rabbit, a Tremaine, a Maui that looks like another rabbit, a snake, a Sisu, and a 1-cost Chernobog's followers. And my opponent, again, I don't know it at this point in time, but they are playing EA Tempo. Looks like they're holding onto a Merfolk, a Diablo, a White Rose, a Kit Cloud Kicker. Not sure what the bottom card is. A Genie they're also holding onto, which makes sense since they're on the play. Throwing back one Genie and a Bell Accomplished Mystic, which looks good to me. We both throw back 2 cards. He finds himself a White Rose, and I think a Cursed Merfolk, potentially.
It's untimed.
It was very much good vibes throughout this, within reason. It was very much good vibes during this match again. Ian, super, super nice guy. So, yeah. Like I said, I really want to win this, but overall I'm happy with my performance across the day. I'm happy I've got my scars, so let's just see where the cards fall. But yeah, he's starting. We're going to ink a White Rose and throw down that Cursed Merfolk. And you can see here there is actually glare. I've included just a PNG of Cursed Merfolk. I don't keep that up throughout the entire video, but just when the glare is really, really bad. But I'm able to ink a Sisu, get down this 1-drop. Again, it's so important to have these 1-drops, especially in this matchup. Diablos are great to have, but you want to be able to answer this Merfolk immediately. So if I only had the Diablo in my opening hand, that would have spelt doom and been really, really bad. So happy to have this Chernobog's Followers or a Broom. I think if I had the Broom in my hand, I would have opted to play that instead. He's going to ink a Diablo and play down the Go-Go. Of course, quest with that Cursed Merfolk. And I think I take some time here because I've got to consider what I want to ink for the turn and what I'm going to be discarding from challenging this Cursed Merfolk. So, I know I'm going to be challenging, but the decision of what to ink and what to discard, these are super important decisions. These are untimed rounds. We both had a few turns that were a little long. I do choose to challenge into that Merfolk. I discard a Sisu, and I bounce that bounce that Chernobog's Followers back with the Snake. So I just want to control this early game as well as I can. Once we get to turn 6, I've got Ladies, I've got B-Preps from 7. He's going to wink a Diablo, play down a White Rose, and just quest for that Go-Go. Of course, it is evasive, so it's perfectly safe to just sit there and get a few cheeky lore. He's holding onto a Genie, a Kit, and a Bell. I ink a Chernobog's Followers here. Play down a Sisu. Of course, I would have loved the Flynn on turn 2. He'd have still been able to answer it with the Kit Cloud Kicker. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just better to make them play the kit. Or just play their answer to the Flynn Rider. Like if you can make Ruby Sapphire play Brawl on their turn 3 when they've got 4 ink as opposed to Flavish and Mortala, that's usually pretty good. So even if the Flynn doesn't get lore, doesn't mean he's not done anything. But nonetheless, we're going to ink a Cricky here. Down comes this Genie, Wish Fulfilled, drawing a card and of course putting on a lot of quest pressure and evasive. We quest with the Go-Go Tamago. And that White Rose is also going to quest. You can see I've not kept up the adding little PNG images of the cards throughout the entire thing. I'm doing my best. I've done my best to sort of combat the glare. Again, it's just one of those things. But we're going to sing Friends on the other side with the Sisu, which was a big decision because I want lore on the board. I want to keep up to a degree, but clearly I feel like I need the cards. I do have the Brawl for that Genie, which I just think is super important to be able to just answer straight away. They're a much quicker deck than me. I just want to control as well as I can. I do take that trade with the Snake, and I ink the Broom. I feel like I would have liked to have played the Broom on that turn if I could. Hold on to a Maui here, which I feel like could be potentially important. To be fair, it probably would have been better to ink the Maui there, I dare say. I can't remember if it comes up in this match or if it just ends up being ink. Nonetheless, he's going to ink and throw down a couple of Cursed Merfolk and Kit Cloud Kicker my Sisu, which now has only 1 strength because he's emptied his hand completely. So, like, I've got mixed emotions about this because this is a terrifying field that's just gone down and I have nothing on board. He's about to jump up a lot of lore. But he is now playing off the top of the deck. So that is a good position to be in. If I can clear up this board and just make them top deck, then maybe I can just control the board, hope they don't get too many goats, etc., and maybe I can come out on top. I play the rabbit, draw a card, ink the Flynn, not able to play anything else. So this is a situation where I would have loved to have been able to get down that Broom. So maybe an incorrect ink from me on the previous turn. He's going to draw and just quest with everything, go up to 13. Why wouldn't you? And I am not feeling confident at all at this point in time, even though he's playing off the top of the deck. Just look at the point. He's already at 13 lore with this board. Throws down the crab, contemplated I think he contemplated holding it for a little while, but just decided, hey, let's just put this down. Let's present lethal. I mean, he knows I'm taking out one of these Kerfolks this turn regardless, but I think it's right for him to just play to the board as much as he can. I challenge into the Merfolk with the rabbit. I discard a Flynn Rider. And I'm pretty sure I am holding the fox in hand. Here I go. Exerting 3 ink. We are going to play that fox. Bounce that rabbit. Just continue to draw cards. And I imagine this fox will be going into the Cursed Merfolk. Of course, can't challenge either. Well, it could challenge the kit, but can't challenge the Go-Go. It's evasive, and this Merfolk is offering too much quest pressure. I discarded the Sisu when I challenged into that Merfolk. And yeah, in Goat and cannot play anything else. But at this point, I'm holding the Be Prepared. I'm committed to that being my play on this turn. Of course, I am a little... On the next turn, sorry. Of course, I'm a little bit scared of being hit by Ursula Deceiver. But again, he's playing off the top of the deck. So I've just got to play the game, right? Plays down a Chernobog's Followers, which he said himself... later on that he feels like this was a misplay, and I do agree. I'm at the 6 ink. There's every reason to be prep this board, which I just immediately do. Ink a Broom, quest with the fox, and throw down that Be Prepared. So yeah, I do think it was a misplay. You see there I'm holding a crab, a Maui, and I think that's a brawl also in my hand. But yeah, so not the greatest decision for him to play the Chernobog. He says that himself later on in the video, I believe. Draws a card and immediately passes. And I'm thinking, what would you draw that you wouldn't immediately ink or play? You're at 5 ink. I'm thinking Ursula, Sea Witch Queen. You probably just ink that, right? So he passes over to me, so that's really great for me. I get a turn off, essentially, to just play down a rabbit, draw a card, and put some more pressure on the board. Again, I don't need to worry about this crab, like, giving challenger per se. I just need to put as much on the board as I can to be able to catch up. And then he draws and plays down Chernobog, bounces it with the snake, and then plays the Chernobog back down, and immediately I understand, yes, of course. I should have figured that out, really, that was a snake. That's the only card that you would just hold at that ink point. So he passes over to me. Again, this is still scary, though. I've got to interact with these two, because if he goes up to 18, just one go means the game is over. So I sing Friends on the other side with the rabbit.
That's a shame.
This is the store owner. Shout out to Brotherhood. They were absolutely fantastic, by the way. All the staff and all the players, everyone I met was absolutely incredible. Just letting people know that the score is closing for people not still in the tournament. But yeah, I get out this Tremaine. I've got to interrupt this. I cannot allow him to go up to 18 because then Goat just absolutely spells doom. Even though he's playing off the top of the deck, it's not terrible odds to draw a Goat at some point. So we get down this Tremaine. Not sure why she's spinning. That's definitely an editing mistake. Because I edited this before I'm doing the commentary. So I don't know why that's going on. Nonetheless, we got a Tremaine down, get rid of the snake. He keeps the Chernobog's Followers, which makes sense so that he can draw more cards. He does indeed quest go up to 17, draw another card. And we see the Elsa come down, and I am terrified. But just the Elsa coming down exerts the Tremaine, passes back over to me. So I have had a couple of basically turns off here. Of course, I had to respond to the snake Chernobog, but I'm feeling like, again, I've still got a lot of catching up to do. All it's going to take is a Goat off the top for him, and I still probably lose. But I get to breathe for a couple of turns. We quest with the Tremaine, and I take a long time to consider this turn. What I decide to do is quest with the Tremaine. I pay 4 to shift another Tremaine on top of Tremaine, and then play 2 to bounce both of them back to my hand so I have answers. Now, for a long time, quest up, of course. Now, for a long time, I considered that move. Obviously, I've cut it there to trim the video, but that was probably my longest turn of the entire match. I think I inked the Maui here, because I was deciding whether I wanted to shift the Tremaine, or if I just wanted to play a second to remove the Elsa, and keep the other Tremaine, but basically end my turn with 2 Tremaines on board, so that the next turn, if he played just one character, I would be able to quest up, play the snake, and then still play one of those Tremaines. I opted to take this move and bounce them both back to my hand at the same time. I'm still not sure if it was correct or not, to be honest. I think I probably should have left both the Tremaines on board, but this is what I went with. He's only able to play a White Rose, which isn't great, but it's not awful. That immediately gets into 18 lore. Of course, I do have the Tremaine in hand, 2 of them, in fact, so I'm able to play that straight down, get rid of this White Rose. And I'm able to quest up to 10. But this is still super scary. Like, I don't have game next turn, so a goat off the top here, he still wins this game. So I do as much as I can. I ink, try and get to as many, a nice high ink pool, pass over to him, and he draws a Diablo off the top. And you can see and hear that reaction from him. Really bad tops from him these last couple of turns. Plays the Diablo, and that's all he's able to do. I ready up, and I find a goat off the top. Now, I believe I'm holding a Medusa in hand. I am, and I do opt to play this as opposed to the Tremaine in my hand. I know I'm going up to 15 lore this turn, so I'm presenting check. So I don't need to worry anymore about just a goat coming down. All I need to worry about is goat bounce. That is dependent, of course, on me removing this Diablo from the board. It doesn't feel great to give him another draw, but I can't just let it sit there, because if it quests to 19, then all he does need is the Merlin Goat or a White Rose off the top, and he wins. So I have to remove the Diablo, there's no question about it. So I play down this Medusa, remove it, quest with everything up to 15. I only take myself up to 14 there, but it is 15. But now I am much more comfortable. I have game on board for next turn.
You were up so quickly, I was like, oh, mate.
No, dude. Like, I misplayed when I played the Chernobyl into Big Brett. I could have... That turn when I drew the stake and I couldn't play anything,
Yeah.
that was like a turn where I should have just got like...
Yeah, potentially. So when I shifted Tremaine, obviously it's great to get them both back, but I think I should have just played one and kept the lore pressure on the... I don't know if it had changed the clock. That's what I was trying to work out, whether or not I thought it would change the clock, but I also wanted the extra, because I didn't have... The Medusa was like the last 2 turns, so I had the 2 Tremaines. I was like, I'm going to need these constantly, so... Oh, blimey.
So yeah, as you can see, I'm absolutely relieved to be able to take a dub on the draw. And yeah, it very easily could have gone the other way. He didn't get much draw either, didn't see any rabbits, and that ends up becoming a bit of a pattern for these matches. But yeah, able to take game 1, barely, but super happy about that. It means even if I lose this game, then I get to be on the play for the 3rd one. So yeah, looks like already... He's holding a goat, a Diablo, looks like a Lol Tiberius Rourke there as well. We've got a Snake, Go-Go, and Ursula in the other hand. I'm not doing a great job of showing my hand, but I'm not going to lie, I wasn't really thinking about it. I was concentrating on just trying to play the best Lorcana I could possibly play. He opts to throw back just 2 cards. I throw back just 1 because I have a pretty good start here. I am on the draw, which makes a big difference, but I'm pretty happy with most of the cards in my hand. And we can see here I do have a rabbit. I think I eyed a Diablo. He inks and plays Diablo turn 1, which I'm super, super happy with. Whenever I'm not seeing a turn 1 Merfolk, that's really, really great. It also means that I can get more longevity out of a Broom or a Chernobog's followers. Potentially. I do ink Diablo. You can see I've already got a Be Prepared in my hand. And we are bringing that Broom to the front. Because the good thing about playing Broom here is that if he does quest this Diablo, I can, regardless of what else he puts down, if he puts down like a Chernobog or a Go-Go or something like that, then I can challenge into this Diablo, and then I can banish the Broom when I play a character so that he's not given a favourable trade and I'm just able to replace the card. So I'm super happy with this start. He inks Chernobog's followers. Down comes that Go-Go Tamago, of course. Best used to gain a lot of lore in the mid to late game when there's a character on board with a lot of damage on it, but in the early game it is just an evasive 2-2 which can cheat out a few lore. And you can see here I do indeed challenge into the Diablo with the Broom. We ink a Merlin Goat, signed by the artist. Little flex there. And we play down the Flynn Rider, banish that Broom to draw a card. I think it was a Merlin Rabbit. And yeah, pretty happy with those first couple of turns. You can see there I put in a PNG of Flynn Rider because the glare wasn't great. Again, I've done my best to try and... any cards that are showing a lot of glare, I've done my best to try and make the game state a little bit more readable. He's able to ink, play down a White Rose, immediately gain a lore, quest that Go-Go Tamago. Again, just cheating out early lore because I just don't have an answer for it yet. I ink a Broom, and I'm going to play down that Sea-Suit Emboldened Warrior. So immediately we are putting that Flynn Rider pressure on our opponent, Ian. And this is an example that's coming up now of something I was alluding to earlier, where even if you don't get the lore from Flynn Rider, it doesn't mean that he's been a waste and he hasn't done a job. So you see Ian here, inks the snake, and down comes this Merlin goat. And he has 3 cards in hand, meaning that Sisu has 4 strength. So, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to put Merlin Goat on the board, but this could also quite easily have been something like a genie or a rabbit. I'm not even sure if he's holding those 2 cards, but if he was, then he would not be incentivized to play them, because I would suddenly get the +3 lore. So sometimes even if Flynn doesn't get the proc, he still does a lot of work just in the way he makes your opponents play the game. But nonetheless, he's able to establish this goat, so I do not get 3 lore. I ink, play a rabbit to draw a card, and I choose to take this favourable trade, the Sisu going into the White Rose. Again, it never feels great. You want to be questing with this Sisu as much as possible for that juicy 2 lore, but I need to slow the opponent down, and if I can get a 2 for 1 from this Sisu, then that's great. Of course, it's not guaranteed, because you can manipulate Sisu's strength to become as little as 1. He inks and he plays down the Don Carnage. There we go. I just gave a shout out to LD, who found some success with this card at the European Championships. And again, shout out to Lorcana Decklist, who did some play testing with me in Set 6 in general, which was my absolute pleasure. He does take a favourable trade, that Merlin Goat going into my Emboldened Warrior Sisu, only taking 2 damage in return. I sing Friends on the other side with my Merlin Rabbit, and I'm able to bounce that rabbit back to my hand. So just doing those bounce package, annoying things to try and accumulate card control, but again, I need to keep this board as under control as possible. I'm lucky we haven't seen things like Merfolks. I'm able to take the trade here and get that go off of the board. But this Go-Go Tamago is quested for a whole lot. I think 4 it's quested for at this point in the game. And now this Don Carnage is on the board, who is even more difficult to remove. I'm going out to 5 ink this turn. You see me ink the Broom there. So I'm a little bit scared of this Don Carnage, guys. Not going to lie. Again, apologies for the glare. That's a Go-Go Tamago, a Don Carnage, or Don Carnage. I think I've been told before that I say Don Carnage, his name, wrong. So I will try and educate myself. But yeah, I throw down a Chernobog's Followers. And of course, I've still got that Sisu Emboldened Warrior on the board.
It's a lot of cards. Let's see them.
So he plays the Ursula. And I reveal my hand here. He gets the B prep. I just put that straight in the discard. You see I'm holding Big Sisu, Tremaine, Double Rabbit, and Fox. And here we see the main reason I chose not to quest with my Sisu this turn. Because I'm going into my 6 ink turn and I'm hoping to get some juicy value from the Empowered Sibling. So he gets to snipe my hand, get rid of the B prep and see my hand. And then he pays 3 to play down Lyle Tiberius Rourke, which was very, very surprising to me, because you've just seen my hand. And you can't touch this Sisu here. Quests up with the Don Carnage, the Don, with the Don and the Go-Go. Gave Reckless to my Chernobog's Followers, which I'm very happy about. So I ink Sisu and shift the big one. And that immediately removes...
I do lose the law that presented this, but yeah, so I just get 0.
Goodbye.
Quest for 3.
So yeah, very happy he didn't give Reckless to the Sisu. Able to quest for 3 that turn.
Just forgot about the shift actually. Oh well.
There you go. That's why I went silent there. I knew he said this. I wanted to not talk over it. He just forgot about the shift in that moment. It happens. So I'm able to have a really impactful turn there. He's able to throw down a Elsa to get rid of my Chernobog's Followers. Quest up with the Don. But again, I'm not in a great position here. I've lost my B prep. I've got this Sisu on the board. I'm able to throw down this Tremaine. Chooses, of course, to get rid of the Elsa, which this Don is putting in a lot of work. But I need to slow him down as much as I can. We quest up to 6. So despite this really strong Sisu turn that I was able to get a lot of value off, it's still not looking great, bruv. It's not looking good, bruv. This Don is destroying me. But he plays down a Diablo, pays 1 ink. And then down comes the Peter Pan Shadow Finder, takes that trade with the Sisu. So again, unfortunate that Ian hasn't seen a lot of draw. No rabbits, no genies. So yeah, not much of a draw engine going on. Has found a few aggressive characters. And this Don has put in a lot of work. But yeah, overall, not the best draws from Ian. But this Peter Pan definitely stemming the flow a little bit, removing this Sisu and just stopping my catch-up. I took a while to consider this. I exert 4 ink, play down this rabbit, draw a card. See Spessy chilling in the background. Again, shout out to Spessy, who gave me his blessing to use this footage. The entire stream is available on his channel. I ink a broom, throw down the Merlin rabbit. We're going to quest with the Tremaine and pass over. We still can't answer this Don. So I know he's going up to 17 this turn. Thankfully, he's topping. So I've just got to hope he continues to not top very well. And maybe I can catch up. But I'm scared. I'm pretty scared, guys. I'm not going to lie. What is the card in your hand, Ian? What is the card? I need to know. Just passes. Super passive. This Don has put... If it wasn't for this Don, then I'd be in a super good position because Ian has just not had a lot going on. Like, this Don is carrying the man on his back. We quest for 2 with the Lady Tremaine. And you see me counting out here to make sure I do indeed have enough ink for my... The line I want to take, which is to play the snake, bring back the Tremaine, and now throw it down, and finally I can get rid of this Don. I've had this Tremaine for a couple of turns. Well, I played it a couple of turns ago, but the point I'm trying to make, I've not had a clean Tremaine into this Don. There's always been something sitting next to it. Yeah. So that was the first chance I got to get rid of it. But he finds the goat, throws it down, goes up to 19 lore, and I just pack up right there. I do not have game on this turn, and even removing this goat gives him the lore anyway. So we are going to game 3, my villains. But I am on the play.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I will play 2 on the draw.
Again, shout out to Ian, who was such a nice guy. I'm not saying that he didn't want to win. Of course he did. I'm sure he'd have loved to win and gotten a mat. But he said before the match, as far as I'm concerned, this is friendly. I've got my scar. I'm happy.
I'm going to hold.
And I hold 7, guys. I do hold 7.
Too scared to dig.
I say that doesn't mean I've got a perfect hand. I could be too scared to dig, but we've got Broom, Flynn, Sisu, Friends, Fox, another Flynn, and I don't know what that last card was, but this hand overall feels pretty good. I'm on the play. I have 1 drop, and it's the Broom, which is the preference. Showing box follows would also be perfectly fine, but I like having the Broom. I have it into Flynn, into Sisu. I'm just inking this Friends. That's why I keep it. I just decided it's my turn 1 ink. I don't want to draw into uninkables. I don't want to draw into B-preps. I don't want to draw into early Medusas and Tremaines. This is a good hand with a couple of cards I could have thrown back. I could have digged for Brawls and I could have dug for Perfection, but this is more than good enough, and I have ink, and I feel super, super, super safe here. So I ink the Friends, play down this Broom. Apologies for the glare. He's holding a Fox and Elsa, a Go-Go, a Goat, a Crab, and a Merfolk. And I think that's a second Goat in hand as well. Yeah, 2 Goats in the hand there. And that may be a second Fox. So a decent enough look at the hand there. Inks one of his Goats, plays down that Cursed Merfolk, and over to the villain. We draw a Diablo. Pretty happy with that. Anything I can just pressure the board with. Or just use it for ink, because I'm always playing Flynn Sisu here. That's always the curve. We ink that Diablo. Down comes the Flynn. And I am able to get a safe questing turn out of the Chernobog's followers. Of course, there is nothing in his deck that can possibly answer the Chernobog's followers, so I am safe to get an extra lore here. I don't have to immediately pop and get a card. In fact, quite the contrary, I plan on using the Chernobog's followers to challenge the Merfolk next turn. He inks a snake and plays the Go-Go Tamago, which is certainly interesting. I think there's something to be said maybe for just picking up the Merfolk and establishing the snake. At the same time, the Go-Go got so much lore for him in the previous game, so I think it's reasonable. I challenge into the Merfolk with that Chernobog's followers, discard the Broom, ink the second Flynn Rider that was in my hand, and down comes that Sisu. Pop the Broom. Oh, it was the Broom that I put down turn 1. I think I might have said Chernobog's followers. Apologies if I misspoke. But yeah, we're able to pop that Broom after the challenge, which always feels nice. He's holding a Genie, a Kit, a Goat, a Crab, an Elsa, and a Merlin Fox there. So here we see inks the Fox. We're going to course and quest with the Go-Go. I'm playing this kit to bounce back the Flynn Rider because he had no way of lowering his hand size or being equal with my Sisu strength on that turn. So he's forced to play the kit, which is a perfectly fine move, but it just gives me a card back, which I can now safely ink. But at least it takes away the 3 lore proc, which is far more preferable for him, for that not to happen for me. We pay 4 ink, play the Genie, draw a card. This is really nice for me established. If I can be the aggressor in this match, then that's really, really good. If I can make him have to make challenges and respond to my characters because I'm winning the race. Plays the Crab to boost up the Kit Cloud Kicker, so he's able to trade with my Sisu. Quests with the Go-Go and passes over to me. Of course, there is an option here to challenge this Go-Go with my Genie and remove it from the board. But then he can just play Elsa and remove my Genie. And I'm not happy with that idea. And again, his board isn't that scary at the moment. I would much rather be the aggressor. I'm going to ink the Flynn, pay 3 for another Sisu, and I'm just going to quest up with this Genie. So if you're going to answer my Genie, you are going to establish that trade. I'm getting my lore. I want to be ahead in this race. I'm holding a Brawl, a Medusa, and a Fox there. He's holding an Elsa, a Goat, a Genie, and an Ursa Sea Witch Queen. And again, worth mentioning, this man is hunting rabbits. All 3 of these games, he's been hunting rabbits, and it is not rabbit season for Ian. Can we get some love for Ian in the comments? That'd be lovely. Throws down that Goat, gains a lure straight away. Of course, wants stats on the board. Wants to be able to answer this Sisu, preferably in one fell swoop. Passes over to me. We ready everything up. Again, you're welcome for the PNGs to establish who the characters on board are because of the glare. It may look a little out of place, to be honest. Let me know. Give me feedback. Are you happy I did this? So I ink the Fox. I'm able to play down this Medusa, remove that Crab from the board. And I can just continue to be the aggressor here, questing up with everything. Going up to 9 lore, and I'm feeling pretty good at this moment in time. I've only got 2 cards in my hand, but I have a nice board state. I am at barely, but if you are ahead on board even by 1 against EA Tempo, against the more aggressive decks, that feels pretty good. He's going to ink the Chernobog's followers, and down comes the Elsa. Exerts my Medusa, even though it don't really matter. Is going to make a favourable trade into that Sisu, only taking 2 damage in return. But again, I'm making him answer me. He's not questing. Of course, the Goat does survive, which is annoying, but I'm still pretty happy with this. Does take that trade to get rid of the Genie. And this is a turn where I nearly lose the match. Nearly lose the match. I play Friends on the Other Side. I pay 3 for it. Couldn't really see my hand, so I can't really give you my full thoughts concerning that. But I paid 3 for Friends. Ink a Crab. Pay 1 for the Chernobog's followers. And I choose to quest with the Medusa. Now, you're going to see in a minute how much I regret not taking out this Go. At the time, I thought, you've only got 1 card in hand. You're about to drop to 2. I'm ahead of you in lore. You are far more incentivized to take this trade into Medusa than I am. So I thought I was safe to quest. But he draws Merlin Snake off the top, which I should have seen this as a possibility. And you can see my reaction there, the immediate regret. Because this could have also been Snake. There were perfectly reasonable outs to this happening to me. So immediately I hugely regret my decision. He's able to quest with everything, play the snake, bounce the goat, play the goat back down, and suddenly he's jumped up a few lore, is much closer to me, and has a much scarier looking board. So a huge misplay from me to not take the trade with the Medusa into the goat on the previous turn. I should have thought to myself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And it would have been that. So definitely a huge misplay from me. I take my draw from the Chernobog's followers. I ink the Flynn, and I choose to play the big Sisu. I don't have a lot of cards in my hand. I'm only hitting one character with this Sisu, but I need to establish to the board I can't give him a chance to catch up and start beating me in this race. I need to put on the pressure now. And you hear me say there, well, you might not have, because I was talking over it, but I said there, I should have taken the goat while I had the chance. Immediate, huge regret. I thought I was safe. I thought he was more incentivized to trade, but it was absolutely wrong from me. He finally found a rabbit. Let's hear it for Ian in the comments, finding his rabbit on turn, I don't know, 7, 8. Quest with that goat. He can't just sit there. No, because I've got a Sisu here that's going to be questing me to 15 next turn. Really, he would love for me to trade into the goat. Well, that's a perfectly reasonable out to play to, really. Passes back over to me. I ready up the Medusa. We finally take this trade into the goat, which I should have done 2 turns ago. He got an extra 3 or 4 lore out of me not doing it. Brawl this rabbit. I don't want him bouncing it, and I don't want him building any sort of board presence. I just want to remove it. I'm going to play down this goat, go to 13, play my last ink to play down the Chernobog's followers, which is also the last card in my hand. Quest with Sisu, go up to 16, and this is the moment of truth. Plays a genie. 4 ink, but as soon as he did that, and I knew we only had 2 more ink to play with, I was pretty sure that I was safe. Again, I don't know if there's like a Mother Knows Best or a Bruno in his deck.
Let's go! Good game, bro. Honestly, really, really good game.
And there you have it. He is not able to answer, and I am able to take 2-1 on the draw and proceed to the top 4, which I was so happy about. Again, a huge shout out to Ian, who was such a great guy and a great opponent. Would have loved to have gone all the way, or at least made the finals and secured a map, but again, I'm so happy to have performed as well as I did. And again, just a huge shout out to Brotherhood Games and all the staff and all the players. Everyone was absolutely fantastic. I'm very keen to wrap this video up because it's already gone on much longer than I wanted it to. But yeah, I said I would do a small bit of admin at the end. I am going to keep it very brief though, and I'll talk about it in more detail in the near future. But yeah, it's been a while since my last upload. I didn't even cover the top 16 deck list for NA for the North American Championships. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more detail in an upcoming video. I am due another Lorcana Villain lore dump video where I talk a bit more about like things going on personally. But the cliff notes is, and I feel a bit awkward saying this at times, but I've not been in a very good headspace for a couple of weeks now, and again, I will talk a little bit about why in the future. I'm not going to get into it now, but overall, I've just not really been in the best place, and that's another reason why performing well at this event was meant a great deal to me. It was very much a needed good day. But yeah, I'm sometimes hesitant to talk about these sort of things because realistically, I'm aware of how lucky of a person I am, at least for the last year or so of my life, the things I've gotten to do in Lorcana. I'm in a position that is very enviable. I'm aware of that, and I know how many people would absolutely love to be in it. So quite often I feel like a little awkward, like complaining about basically anything because I just know how lucky I am in the Lorcana scene in general. But I know realistically that's not a healthy way of thinking about it. If it was anyone else saying that to me, I would say to them, that is no reason why you are not allowed to feel what you feel. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about it in a little bit more detail in the near future. Expect another Lorcana Villain lore dump to come, but overall, I've not been in the greatest headspace, and I didn't really feel like recording content, and I wanted to focus on kind of not only playing a lot more Lorcana and like getting as prepared as I could be for the set championships, because again, it meant a lot to me to do well this season, but also spending time doing other things. I finally bought myself a new desk where I'm hopefully going to be able to start doing paper Lorcana streams at some point this year. And I'd put off building it and rearranging my room for a long while. And also I'm very keen to get my Lorcana D&D project out before June is my hope, even sooner if I can, but definitely by June. So I wanted to put some time into further developing that project. Here's a little, I suppose you could call it a spoiler really for what the main theme of the first few sessions of Lorcana D&D are going to be based around, but nonetheless I'm going to end up showing this picture when I come to do my advertising and trying to build up hype for the project. But yeah, the players will be visiting Neverland. This is the region map that I've made. Of course there'll be more maps, more like battle maps, which are a lot more closer view, but yeah, I put a lot of time into building this and I'm very happy with it, and I'm super excited to get that project off the ground in the near future. But yeah, once again, sorry for the lack of content, and I apologise if parts of this video I've been a bit all over the place. I mean, I'm always a little bit all over the place, but maybe a little bit more so than usual as I get back into the swing of things. But it's great to be back. Definitely expect content to be a little bit more consistent over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, just anyway, if you've watched and listened this far, I'm super, super grateful to you. But that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.